Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Round 7, Season 5 of the Swift Racing League, where today we find ourselves at the Portimao circuit, officially known as the Autodromo do Algarve, in the beautiful Algarve region of Portugal, nestled among the picturesque Portuguese hills. This track is a real roller coaster ride for the drivers with 4.7 kilometers of twists and turns, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. It's a challenging mix of fast straights and tight turns, complemented by the circuit's very well-known elevation changes, where drivers will experience a staggering 97 meters of elevation from the lowest to the highest points of the circuit. Here we are in quali 1, the first session of qualification. I'm joined by my co-host Emir.
Thank you for that beautiful intro, Dario. And I think this is going to be an interesting one. We have a lot of drivers who are in contention for pole. The competition is high and the driver standings are close. Anyone can win the championship out of the top 3 drivers.
Of course, and just for those who have maybe missed it, our top 3 in the Drivers' Championship at the moment is Merckx in the Williams, Cameron Searle in the McLaren, and Lyndon Reybach in the Alpine. All very... well, the first 2 especially very close on points. So it's definitely going to be an interesting race for us today, and we're glad to have you guys with us. And hopefully we'll get to see some action as the first of the cars is now out on track. We got 3 actually, as we're on board with or looking at Björn de Boer in the Haas.
Yes, Björn de Boer is a driver who has previously been winning races, but now he's back in the midfield. He's trying to prove himself. He's trying to prove to himself as well that he can still win races, and he has been practicing, and we already have a retirement in the race, which is quite interesting sight. It doesn't seem like there was anyone who crashed, but I think Joshua Bashford may have had some problems, and I got an unfortunate message that we will be restarting the lobby, unfortunately. This is one of those things that happens when we league race.
Unfortunately, it's just a part of the game.
Yeah.
Codemasters always delivering very high quality games for us. So,
and it's not even better that EA picked them up. I mean,
arguably worse, but that's okay.
Yeah.
No, just gives us some more time to talk about things. Obviously, we got quite a good lineup. Looks like 12 drivers will be joining us today. So we'll hopefully see some nice wheel-to-wheel action. And as you were mentioning before, I'll continue. I'll jump on the train talking about drivers. Björn de Boer, the Dutch driver, putting in a lot of practice beforehand, seeing some very deep and very good dedication from the Dutch driver himself. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some good performances. I imagine most of the drivers have put in a similar amount of effort off track or outside of the race. So yeah, it's something that we can all look forward to. It's exciting. Can't wait. Hopefully we get the lobby back up quickly, and we'll continue from there. But yeah, until then, unfortunately, guys, we're in the same position as you. We just gotta wait. So
yes, one of the drivers I also want to talk about is Jesper. He is the reigning champion in Swift right now, and he still hasn't won a single race this season. He has gotten close, but he just haven't had the same pace as he had in SwiftX, and it's quite unfortunate to see. Hopefully he can pick himself up later in the season, or maybe even this race, to try and grab a few wins, maybe even fight for the Drivers' Championship and be up there with Merckx and Cameron. But right now, Jasper is in the sixth place in the driver standings, 1 point behind Jeremy Clarkson. So I think...
yeah, so in a quick recap of the points as well. Jasper sitting on 47 points, Jeremy Clarkson 48, just giving a quick rundown of our top 5. Our fourth place driver, I don't he's a very bad driver. I'm not sure how he's in fourth place in the drivers' championships, but
yeah, I think
Mr. Amir himself.
Yeah, I think that driver was actually so bad that he just got kicked for being so slow.
Yeah, turned to a different career path. And
yeah, I heard he's something about he wanted to try and pursue his dream of being a trash master.
Trash master.
Yeah.
Yeah, garbage man.
Garbage man. Yeah,
Of course.
But he said Trash Master specifically because he wants to be the one to like drive the truck, and he is a big fan of GTA 5, where the garbage trucks are called Trash Masters. That's what he told me at least. So we'll see if he ever comes back to racing, but I doubt it.
I guess only time will tell, but yeah, I doubt it as well. Anyways, continuing on. So in that case, our top 5 drivers will be Jesper Ten Haken on 47 points, just behind Jeremy Clarkson on 48 points, who's trailing the third place driver, Lennon Raybach, who is on 57.5 points. And from there, the gap widens a little bit with Cameron Searle being on 92 points and Merckx, the legend himself, on 105.5 points. So again, like we said, between those top 2 drivers, between Cameron and Merckx, points to be dropped. Whoever doesn't come first or second between the two, I mean, it's expected that we'll see them up there. So who knows? I guess only time will tell, as I mentioned before. But yeah, as you mentioned, Jesper Ten Haken, the reigning champion. Hopefully, we'll see a good performance from him tonight and see him pick up some points as well. Maybe even his first place of the season. Who knows?
It's a long season, and we're already at round 7. Unfortunately, we haven't had any streams before that, but that changes now. Quite a few races left, some good tracks left. I, for one, can't wait to see them race at Las Vegas. It's going to be absolutely incredible to see. I just love Las Vegas. It's one of my favorite cities. Not because of my gambling addiction, of course, but just,
of course not.
A night race at Las Vegas, like, it can't be more perfect than that. And just can't wait to see them race around there, wheel to wheel.
Of course, yeah, and I'm not sure if you saw the Steve Carell interview. He doesn't seem as excited about F1 in Las Vegas as you, but yeah, again,
really?
The gambling addiction of yours, it's really showing. So yeah,
I love Steve Carell.
I do too. I think most people do. It's hard to find someone who doesn't like Steve Carell with his past and his large part in The Office and other movies.
Yeah, and Anchorman.
Across different. Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, it's a long list of movies he's in from different genres, from comedies, action. So great actor, and again, like I mentioned, though, he's not too keen on the F1 Las Vegas GP.
One of my favorite actors is Steve Carell, so maybe I will have to change my mind about that race in Las Vegas. But I would like to see his.
Well, you know what? I can understand that. From an eye candy point of view, we'll say it's definitely going to be a great race, like you mentioned, a night race, street circuit, scenery-wise, it's going to be amazing to see. Nice up close and personal between the drivers, and seeing some high speed in the Las Vegas streets will be something to see, definitely. But again, only time will tell, as now time has told us that we're back in Q1, first qualifying session of the night. Hopefully we can get through this one, as technically it's our second. But Steve Carell in Despicable Me is the best. I can't disagree with you there.
That's true,
Genie. He's just a good actor. What can I say?
He's like one of the best. Like just the way he goes into character and the face expressions he makes, like, it's almost believable that, like, he is a part of the character, if you know what I mean. Like,
of course. Yeah. No, so is it safe to say then that your Steve Carell obsession outweighs your gambling addiction?
I love gambling. So that's why I'm going to bet money that Cameron Searle is going to get pole. I actually don't think he's going to get pole. But as a gambling addict, I always make bad bets. But today, it's going to change. If I'm correct on who's getting pole today, I think I deserve to have a trip to Las Vegas. And you're paying, Dario.
Well, okay. I hate to break the news to Cameron, but I really hope he doesn't get pole position then, because I think my wallet might hate you if he does get pole. But again, Cameron being a contender for pole, definitely seeing him in second in the Drivers' Championship, there's a very good chance that he does end up on pole tonight. But again, as I love to say, only time will tell as we see Odaly coming over the large crest there on, I don't know which, I haven't even been looking. I've been thinking about your gambling addiction and paying for a trip to Las Vegas. I'm not even certain which part of the track he's on, so.
Yeah, well, this track is, we rarely race here, and it's quite hard to know every turn number. And if I'm gonna be honest, I don't know any of the turn numbers. I only know turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. Everything after turn 5 is just playing for me. But here we go. Odaly starting his lap in Portimao, the first person to cross the line to start his lap.
So Mary, why don't you walk us through along, as we're on board with Odaly, why don't you walk us through a lap, being a former pole sitter yourself. Not sure about this track, but in the Swift Racing League, why don't you walk us through a lap here?
I will do that. Into turn 5, it's a hairpin, needs to brake early, and he does so. He picks up the throttle a bit too late, which makes him lose the speed on the exit. And it's very important to get a good exit here, because you need as much speed as you can coming into this corner. And then into this corner, I have no clue. I know it's a roller coaster ride. I've never raced here. I've never been a pole sitter here, but this is fully flat out in these cars, which is absolutely amazing to see. This corner is very hard corner, especially for drivers who, I will not say what I was about to say. Interesting lap so far. He's coming now into the penultimate corner of the circuit, and I'm not sure about this lap. Like, he's not too confident on the throttle. It seems like I hope for him it's a good lap, but it doesn't seem like a good lap. He's not good on coming on to the throttle. And it's an interesting track as well in qualifying, because you're getting below that 10% ERS at the end of the lap, which will make you lose time. So you're gonna have to try and put on your ERS at the start of the lap as late as possible to make sure you don't lose the time at the end.
Of course, every track being different, as we see Bjorn taking that pole away from Odaly, and yeah, as you were mentioning, it's definitely a track. In the past we've seen certain tracks you've been able to get away with, doing 2 quali laps at once. You get the tires warmed up on the first lap, and you just let it fly on the second. But as you mentioned, with the ERS getting really low, below that 10% mark, it's something you have to be very wary about, as Plug hitting pole, provisional pole rather, with 16.7. Yes,
yeah, that's not even a bad time.
Quicker, but no, it's not. It's 0.2 quicker than our next quickest driver, Noah, in Ferrari. So again, looking like it's going to be a pretty close race today, which is lovely for us and even better for the viewers. So it's something you love to see in this motorsport. Yeah, it's great. Going through the track, as you were saying, you're going through that penultimate corner, and you gotta get on that throttle early. You gotta be very confident on the throttle. That's something that drivers are gonna have to get used to, and it's something we haven't seen as Cameron Searle picking up the fastest lap. I really, really hope, for my own wallet's sake, that he gets second. Yeah. I don't remember signing a contract, but still, just for my wallet's sake, anyways. I apologize to you, Cameron, but I'd like for you to come second.
Yeah, I hope he comes first, and 16.5 is a strong first lap to put out in qualifying. This early in the qualifying to have a 16.5, that's a really strong lap, and he's definitely a candidate to get pole position here in Portimao. And looking at the top 4, sorry, top 6, even top 7, it looks really close from 2 to P6. But we have quite a few drivers who still not set a representative time, like Jeremy Clarkson, Thomas Hardwick, and Merckx. I think I heard Jeremy Clarkson say that he doesn't want to qualify, and it looks to be that way. He would probably just put a set of softs on and with high fuel load and just been driving around. If I can get a peek at his fuel, yeah, 4.4. I'm not sure if that's the fuel, but for my own sake, I will say that's the fuel, and he's just,
we'll go with it.
Messing around and trying to learn the track.
You can go with it.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, now's the time to learn it if you haven't already. I mean, you definitely should have before now, but regardless, now is a much better time than later on in the session. So, yeah, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. So,
time will tell indeed. In 10 minutes and 52 seconds, we'll know who is the pole sitter.
Of course, yeah. With the one-shot qualifying rules, it's a bit of pressure on the drivers. So yeah. Again, we'll see. Once the clock ticks down a little bit more, getting to the 5 minute to 4 minute mark is when we'll start to see actual pole sitting times. And yeah, again, once again, Cameron, I apologize, but I'm preying on his downfall. So yeah.
I am for one not praying for his downfall. Jasper also looking like he invalidated his lap, but he was never on a lap, so I'm not sure what he's doing either. Maybe he's also just getting a grip of the track. I'm quite confused on what's going on with Jasper. I'm not sure why the driver was why they're not just going for pole instead of just driving around.
You still got time. You want to get, you know, get the tires under you a little bit and just get to grips with the track again. You know, some drivers drive better on their 7th lap rather than their 2nd. I mean, most drivers, I would say. I know myself included. When I was in the cockpit, it was definitely easier for me the more laps I got in. So, you know, he could just be getting used to it. He could be going back for another lap here. So who knows? We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't invalidate this one.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's on a lap because he's not using his ERS.
Using his ERS, yeah. So I'm not sure.
He did that one lap, which is 16.9, which is a strong lap. But now he's just, I think, practicing and going for a lap at the end. That's the only possible explanation I can see. But not enough about Jasper. We have the Alpine in P9 ready to go on the lap. How about you talk us through this lap?
Of course. As we see, yes, Jiri, you're definitely right in that regard. The confidence on throttle is definitely something that's very much needed. So you gotta get on the throttle early, as we see the Alpine going into turn 1. Good turn coming into turn 2, casing that apex early on the throttle, coming out, eating up as much of the track to the right as possible and throwing it through the corner there. Turn 4, long straight toward the Torre. Turn 5, nice hairpin turn, just kissing the apex, getting all the way out on the right and unfortunately invalidating, just exceeding the track limits. Continuing through turn 7 and coming up to turn 8 in the pass, this would be a very, very tricky corner for drivers. If you were too early on the throttle or too heavy-footed on the throttle, your car would just become a dreidel, a spinning top. So thankfully, it's a little easier now with the high downforce cars and everything coming out of that corner is much easier. But yeah, again, unfortunately an invalidated lap, so this won't mean anything, though it does look like a decent lap. If he had used his DRS, I imagine it would be an even better lap. But yeah, just saving the ERS, keeping the tires warm, and letting loose for another lap here. Rounding turn 15, hard on the throttle, unleashing the ERS, opening the DRS, reaching speeds upwards of 300 kilometers an hour down the long start-finish straight into turn 1. Turning in, kissing the apex, good exit, and again kissing the apex on turn 3. Lagos trying to swing out as far right as possible, left in close on the corner, and did he invalidate again? Where would he?
I think
he
I don't think he's going on a lap. I'm quite confused about what's going on. But here we go, Jasper on a lap. Apparently not. I'm not sure what's going on. But Pluk beating Cameron's lap a bit later on. But I think maybe Pluk is also a contender from pole, which is unexpected since he's not really been getting any pole position this season yet. I can't even remember the last time he's gotten pole position, but now he's in contention for that pole.
Well, listen, it's something I like to see. Not because I have anything against the other drivers, but again, it's the wallet, you know. Your gambling addiction is really, it's causing problems for all of us now. You know, it's I think we might need to stage an intervention. Getting all loose back end there, Jasper. Sorry, LTB. My apologies. Jasper being in a completely different car. In actually no, I lie. That's his Red Bull teammate. That's
and
why I'm
LTB
confused. That's right.
as well. Wow, I did not expect
Good
LTB to be up
throwing
there.
it on pole there.
Yeah, I'm actually rooting for LTB here.
Expect the unexpected, as they say.
I think I am rooting for LTB because he is kind of the underdog. He has not been having any really great races so far this season, but maybe he can turn it around this time around. I'm not really sure if Jasper's still driving around. Does he not want to get pole? We have a question from Genie to Dario. Do you prefer commentating or driving?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know. Driving was great. It was stressful, but it was very great being wheel to wheel, and you know, being right in the action was always nice. And then again, you know, you have a lot more invested in the race, and you feel a lot more passionately about it. But I do like commentating as well. So
okay,
I don't know. That's a good question. I would say probably commentating, just because, you know, you get to interact with some people during the race. You get to talk about the drivers. You know, you can trash talk them a little bit and get away with it scot-free. You know, but no, it's good. I think commentating.
Commentating. Well, that's a good answer, because you're here commentating with me, and if you said driving, I don't think we will really be good friends anymore. Merck saying that his game retired him because he had to restart the game. Unfortunate, typical Codemasters, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And like you mentioned, EA purchasing Codemasters is it might be a curse, might be a blessing, who knows. Yes, Genie, I do remember our fight in Russia in Tier 2. That's it's definitely one for the playbook, or the history books rather. I genuinely still remember each moment of that. That was a lot of fun. So, you know, there's moments like that where it makes me want to lean away from a mirror and say driving's better. But, you know, I think...
Yeah, we can all talk hypothetically here, but let's talk about Joshua Bashford. I'm sorry, but I felt like you were roasting me, so I had to change the subject. We have Joshua Bashford. For the first time in a long time, he's racing on his wheel again, and the last time he raced on a wheel was also his first time, which was also in Portimao. So I think he just has this kind of love for Portimao, and he was getting a bit of oversteer into that corner, and maybe I'll lose him some time. But I think Bashi can really do something here now, since he is on his racing wheel, trying to get some wheel-to-wheel action in the race, I hope.
Of course. I mean, I'm sure we'll see some as he sets the quickest sector 2 of the lot. Unfortunately, coming up short, only managing 4th position. Again, this is all provisional. We still have 2.5 minutes left in the qualifying session. So many more timetable shifts to come. And yeah, I guess, you know, we'll see. It looked like a very good lap, but again, that oversteer that you mentioned could have been the downfall that he was praying against. But
that could have definitely been the deciding factor. But I'm really impressed by Joshua and the way he could set such a good time, and it's so close into the top, in the top 5. I feel like anyone can get pole right now. Anyone could get pole.
Well, that's the beauty of F1 and racing and motorsport in general, is anything can happen. So I guess we'll see. As I like to say, only time will tell. So we still got 1:50 in the session, rather 1.5 minutes. So yeah, it's looking very good. Almost 1.5 minutes rather, but it's looking good for the two, or rather the one Red Bull of LTB, as well as Plug in the Alfa Romeo with a guest, or not necessarily guest, but a surprise appearance in the top 2, setting a very quick time earlier on in the session. And again, it looks like for the time being, at least, it'll get him on the front row for the start of the race, which if you you know, if you asked me to lay out my top 3 drivers today, nothing against him, but I don't think I would have put him there. It's just history tends to repeat itself, so
I don't know.
it is what it is.
I feel like, yeah, I mean, I know I placed my money on Cameron, but I'm really happy to see both Plug and LTB up there in pole position, as well as Joshua. I think it's very surprising to see him up there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you completely. The only thing is, the only thing that can make this better is if Bjorn pulls a lap and drops Cameron down a couple positions. That would be quite nice to see.
Yep.
We're all rooting for the Dutchies. I think that's the real thing here.
I don't root for
we
any
love
Dutchies,
our Netherlands
honestly, anymore.
Okay.
Because of Max Verstappen, but it seems like Jeremy Clarkson and Jasper Ten Hagen is going on a hot lap instead of just driving around like, I don't know, Sunday drives. I'm not sure what they're into. But
yeah, well, of course. I mean, seeing Jeremy Clarkson go for a Sunday drive is it's quite normal, especially with the Top Gear series and now Grand Tour as well. So,
yeah,
anyways, that was
Now we have
horrible joke. But anyways, yeah, we see
Lennon
Alpine, Lennon Raybach plopping himself up to P4.
Wonder how long that's
finishing.
gonna last for.
Well, I don't know. I guess, like I said, only time will tell. Doesn't look like Pluk is going to get another lap in, as the qualifying session has come to an end, and he is comfortably in P2 at the moment. But again, Jeremy Clarkson, Jasper Ten Haken, as well as Cameron Searle, all below him, and all still have yet to set any laps, or still have the opportunity to set another flying lap. So we shall see what happens. Anyone who is rooting for Jeremy Clarkson, I'll tell you now, you shouldn't, just because he's a horrible human being. But anyways, we'll see what he can do. He's usually a good driver and a good contender for pole. So,
and he invalidated his lap. He is staying in P10.
And there you go. That's why you shouldn't be cheering for him. The British driver invalidating his lap.
Oh my God!
Jasper Ten Haken.
60.1. Okay.
Bringing it up. It's a Red Bull front row. Too real. It's too real.
Okay.
The realism.
Yep. Oh, well,
it's too much.
Just got in between, but still, Jasper putting it on pole, 2/10 clear. I mean, that was surprising. I would never have guessed that. We were talking about maybe he could like show up one of these races and maybe win the race. I think this is it.
Yeah.
This is definitely one.
Again, we'll see. But yeah, we were talking about that before. Jasper Ten Haken having the ability to go quick and going quick. So it's good to see. Thankfully, I don't have to purchase a ticket for you to go to Las Vegas, so it looks like I'll be going on my own.
But I'll get a second chance by putting my money on someone who will win the race.
Oh, okay. No, that wasn't in the terms and conditions, but
did you read the fine print?
You made it in like size 2 font.
No,
so
no, I changed the color to white so you actually can't see it, but it's still there. So.
I'm pretty sure that's inadmissible in court, but anyways, we'll see if hopefully we'll see. But yeah, Jasper Ten Haken coming in at P1.
Yeah.
Interesting. Last minute, he was the last driver to set a flying lap as well. Bit of a disappointment from Jeremy Clarkson.
Definitely.
I expect better from the British driver, Jamaican driver rather. Mercked. You just gotta feel bad for him. Yeah, that's not his fault. It's a Cody's issue, you know, as is the reason that we haven't started the race yet, having to restart the lobby. So everyone is affected by this stuff. But yeah, just waiting here. We'll get the race underway shortly. Our top 10 drivers, the last 2 not setting any flying laps. Starting with Jasper Ten Haken in P1 with a 1:16.1. A very quick lap from the Dutch driver, followed by Cameron Searle in P2 in the McLaren, LTB in P3 in the Red Bull, Plug in the Alfa Romeo in P4, Bjorn de Boer and Lyndon Raybach in the Haas and Alpine respectively, P5 and P6. Joshua Bashford in P7 in the Mercedes, P8 Noah Corpi in the Ferrari, P9 Odely in the Aston Martin, Jeremy Clarkson rounding out the top 10 and disappointing me in the McLaren, as well as Thomas Hardwick in the Mercedes and P11, and Merckx finally rounding out all the drivers in P12 and the Williams. Again, Cody's moment for him, so a bit of an unfortunate turn for him.
Yep, I think Merckx, as the championship leader, I think he has also still the potential to win the race, even though he's standing last. He has, like, he just has this. Oh, and I will disregard this, and we are going underway. Oh, this is the formation lap.
For the formation lap, yes. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I can still talk then. I think Merckx, as the championship leader, he has this consistency about him. Like, he just doesn't make mistakes. It's rare he makes like a big mistake, and I think he still has the ability to cut through the pack very easily, cleanly, without mistakes. And I think he's still a contender to win the race. Jeremy Clarkson, though, not the same story, but we'll see how the race goes for him.
Yes. Again, time will tell, but you know, it's looking good for both the Red Bulls, in fact. Yes, the drivers are just coming back to the grid and lining up for the race start. And looks like today most of the drivers will be starting off on medium or hard tires, as we have 5 lights on. And away we go. Jasper ten Haken in P1, pulling away from the grid. Good start from him on the medium tires. Closely followed by Cameron Searle and LTB, the P1 Red Bulls teammate, in P3. Top 5 maintaining their position, as we see all the cars filing into the line, coming through turn 4 on the long straight down toward turn 5, coming into the hairpin. A great place for overtaking. Oversteer from Cameron Searle, but keeping the car on the track and forward facing. Not a bad start. It looks like not much has changed in terms of the former half of the pack, whereas the last portion of the pack, big changes have happened. Lynn and Raybach dropping 6 positions, as well as Odely dropping 2. The biggest winner at the moment is Merckx, gaining 3 positions. So yeah, good job from guys like Merckx, as well as Jeremy Clarkson, Thomas Hardwick, all picking up a position, as well as Noel Corpy and Joshua Bashford. And
Jeremy Clarkson and Merckx were just fighting a bit, and Jeremy Clarkson unfortunately got some really big oversteer, which made him lose the position to Merckx. And LTB already almost on the 1 second gap ahead of Cameron, which is quite impressive to do that in 1 lap already. I think maybe, Jesper. I think maybe Jesper has, if he continues like this, he's just gonna breeze through and win the race. I mean, what do you think? If you can...
Well, I mean, we do still have 31 laps rather remaining, as we see Odely retiring from the race. I'm not sure if that's going to be a safety car. I doubt it.
He did it in the pit lane, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yes, yeah. I do see that now. So, unfortunately, I'd say fortunately, we're not going to have a safety car. We will continue under green flags shortly. Once the car has cleared from the track.
Yes.
Yeah. But still, Merckx gaining 4 positions, now in P8. Not bad. Not a bad start. I mean, what else is there to say?
I mean, that's what I was saying. He just has this ability to cut through the pack without problems. And then he braking a bit too late, almost collecting Merckx. Now the Ferrari had made a mistake, which made Merckx pass Noah Yelikorpi. Now Merckx is P7. But can LTB make a move onto Cameron to make it a Red Bull 1-2? Jasper already 1.8 seconds ahead. Impressive. And LTB going for the move into turn 1. Cameron lets him fly by. LTB goes a bit off track, but has cleared Cameron. Or maybe not entirely. They're still side by side. I think the outside line is better here. Yeah, it's quite a bit
Cameron Searle will get a better line through there. Though he did have to brake a little bit, he will definitely be able to brake a little bit later on that inside line going into turn 5 here. Going wheel to wheel as we see the Alfa Romeo of Pluk coming into that fight now, gaining 3rd position out of that fight. LTB dropping down to P4, now wheel to wheel with Pluk in the Alfa Romeo. This is some great wheel-to-wheel racing as he's forced off the track just a little bit. Still wheel-to-wheel going through turn 9 into turn 10. Good spot for overtaking. Pluk just leaving that position for LTB to slot himself in. Great wheel-to-wheel racing.
Goes for the move into the space. Now they're side by side once again into the penultimate corner and now going towards the final corner. Who will... I think Pluk will have the slipstream onto the main straight to be able to overtake him. Not great from LTB, but now Jasper has even bigger gap. And looking behind now for Jeremy Clarkson. Will he be able to make a move? Okay, Thomas Hardwick going for the move onto him. Seems like Jeremy is struggling a bit, and already LTB 3-second time penalty.
That's the issue with turn 1 and turn 2. It's overtaking is quite not hard. It's the only real good place to overtake, actually, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 area, but you got to be very careful of those track limits, and as we see, LTB not paying as much attention as he probably should be to the track limits and picking up a 3-second time penalty.
Yep, I'm not sure.
Unfortunately, that's just what happens in racing. Sorry, you were gonna say?
Yes, something happened to Merck, and now he's back in P10 with 1.6 seconds behind Thomas Hardwick. So he must have had a collision with someone, which made him fall back. But honestly, I think I wasn't expecting Merck to be this far down already at lap 4. I think he would have been at least up to the midfield, but something must have happened.
I mean, we did see him up in the midfield, and yeah, obviously we did miss something because he was up in the midfield and now he's not. So
yeah,
there's still plenty of laps to go though, and who knows what will happen. There could be a safety car, it could be anything. So could be a Ferrari strategy. Who knows? We'll see. There's a lot of time left for Merck to pick up some time as Thomas Hardwick dips into the pits with his 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as alongside LTB there.
And now
continuing on, go ahead.
Jeremy Clarkson also seems to have a moment, and now he's behind Merck. Seems like this track is just very punishing to the drivers if you make a mistake. It is a difficult track with you have to be so careful, but yet so confident on the throttle to be able to go fast, but it's so easy to make a mistake. The grip is just unpredictable at this track, with the elevation changes, with the curbs being slippery, with the very unique corners that no other track has. I just think it's just easier for the drivers to make a mistake.
Absolutely. The elevation changes especially cause problems. At least from personal experience, I can say certain corners, namely turn 8, was an absolute crapshoot with regards to grip levels. As we'll see Björn de Boer go for a move, presumably on Joshua Bashford into turn 1, as LTB sending it down the inside of Cameron Searle, getting the overtake done even before turn 1, maintaining that position going into turn 3. Cameron Searle not close enough to make a move,
but he will have the
keeping
DRS
it nice and tight. He will have the DRS on the straight into turn 5, and I imagine, yes, we'll see him send it right down the inside of turn 5. Wheel-to-wheel racing. This is what we love to see. Cameron Searle not making that stick. LTB with great defense on the throttle, extreme confidence. Good, very good driving from both the drivers. LTB great defense, and Cameron Searle as well, keeping it right up LTB's rear end, and just putting that pressure on him, forcing him to make a mistake going into the next few laps. We'll see going into turn 12 up to turn 13. After turn 14 is usually a good place to just catch a slipstream and ride right behind the car in front until turn 1 and to throw it down the inside. So presumably that's what Cameron Searle will do. We shall see.
I think LTB is also playing the team game here. He's fighting with Cameron. He's just fighting with Cameron to make sure there is a gap from Jasper and from below. It seems like Pluk also overtook Cameron in the main straight. Not sure why Cameron. I was expecting him to be a bit faster, but he just seems to drop positions on the straight. I think maybe maybe his wings are a bit too high.
Yeah, he could be on a higher downforce setup. We're not sure there, but yeah, not sure. Bjorn de Boer also getting past Joshua Bashford into turn 1 there. A little bit of oversteer from the Ferrari driver Noel Corpi.
Yeah, Noah is also been stuck here at, like, around the lower part of the midfield, trying to make up some positions. But now Bjorn is catching up to Cameron and Plug and LTB. Maybe he'll be joining the fight for P2, while Jasper is just sailing in P1, cruising, maybe is the right word. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cruising, sailing.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Sailing. Yeah, the same. Merckx getting a 3-second time penalty, and I did say this guy doesn't make mistakes, but maybe just this is one of his off days. I've never seen him struggle this much in the midfield.
Everyone has their off days, so it could be a number of things. He could have some damage, who knows. Again, the Alpine of Lyndon Raybach also picking up damage on the first lap. Not sure what happened there. As we see Merckx going into turn 3, gaining a position there from Noel Corpi, and also keeping it far enough in front that he's not really at risk from an overtake from behind. Getting right up close to Joshua Bashford and the Mercedes in front. Really, really good driving from Merckx. Maybe he was listening to you, who knows? But
maybe he was listening to me, but I'm just looking and more people are getting penalties. Maybe this race is just one on who has the least penalties, because it is a difficult track to stay within the track limits. It's just one of those, like Austria and stuff. So maybe
it is definitely one of those tracks.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, so well, it's definitely not. As a gambling man yourself, it's a logical thing to expect. Jasper and Jasper and Plug both clear of any penalties. Cameron Stroh, Bjorn de Boer, and Joshua Bashford all have no worries about time penalties at the end of the race. So if they can just keep their noses clean, they have the upper hand on drivers like LTB and Merckx and Noel Corpi, who all are unfortunately going to receive time penalties at the end of the race.
Yep.
So it might just be a case of keep your nose clean on the track, and you might be rewarded greatly for that at the end of the race, as you mentioned previously.
I agree with that.
Good news for drivers like Cameron and Bjorn, who are all within 3 seconds of LTB, so it's a free place right there.
Just looking at the ERS situation, it seems like that LTB and Cameron both have low amounts of ERS, while Bjorn and Plug also, they have quite a bit ERS left. So I think they'll be in a greater situation, while Bjorn almost loses control of his car. So I think if Bjorn and Plug uses their ERS correctly, they can get rewarded for it by, it seems like Bjorn is struggling a lot now. And now Merckx is in P5. He was definitely listening to me. There was no way maybe I just cursed him. I think I cursed him.
Maybe.
Reverse curse.
I think, yeah, the reverse commentator's curse is coming into play here. I can't say I've ever heard of that, but, we're all about inventing new things here at Swift, so there you go. It's a new phenomenon that the main man Amir has invented himself, as we see all the drivers coming onto the midfield, rather, coming up to the start-finish straight. Joshua Bashford going to get a great run on Bjorn de Boer, who's lacking DRS, taking the inside line there, trying to fight that, doing a good job just claiming that corner for himself, and forcing Joshua Bashford in the Mercedes wide. Bjorn hoping to get a little bit closer to Merckx up in the Williams in front, trying to get some DRS. So we'll see what happens there, as I imagine Joshua not going for a move. He has much more self-control than I respect that about him. I probably would have tried a dive bomb there, but good move by him to just keep his head on. Bjorn again just dropping back a little bit from the Williams in front, gaining some time, dropping back. So we'll see what his plan is here. Trying to keep his car straight, hopefully, is a part of his plan, as that's what caused him to lose a position previously. But again, Merckx having a time penalty and Bjorn not, so he's automatically at an advantage there. So again, just keep your nose clean, and you'll be rewarded for it. Is I guess the main game here.
Of course, I think it's also a very frustrating track for the drivers because that it's very hard to overtake here. You have to be creative, and if you lose your patience for just 1 second, that can ultimately end in a crash. If you lose your patience and you're not secure about the overtake you're doing, so making these dump dive bombs may not be the best idea. But sometimes the driver will get frustrated by being stuck behind. But will Jeremy Clarkson make a move on Joshua Bashford? Seems like Joshua Bashford hesitated on Bjorn, and that costed him a position because Jeremy Clarkson took the position from Joshua Bashford, and of course the game's camera angle is failing me once again when I try to show it. But now Bashford is coming back onto Jeremy Clarkson, and Clarkson still staying in the position, keeping his position he just gained.
Yeah, good driving from both drivers. Again, just Joshua Bashford just losing out on that position, all due to a little bit of hesitation. That's the name of the game here in motorsports. But again, it just shows how a little bit of hesitation can cost a lot in terms of track position and time. I mean, losing time to the driver in front. Bjorn being able to get a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of some airspace between the cars. And with Jeremy Clarkson just closing that gap up as well. You start to see some drivers diving into the pits as well.
Yep.
Jeremy Clarkson gaining a few positions. But again, unless we see Jeremy Clarkson trying an overcut.
It's raining. I'm sorry for it is raining. You see some rain falling down on the track while Merck is trying to move on LTB, and it seems a bit of contact, and LTB again runs wide into that corner. That's not the first time we see it happen. And now Cameron falling back, losing that 1 second gap. Still have problems with the ERS. Now both Plug and Thomas Hardwick is on the inters. Will Plug make an undercut on Jasper, or is it in the crossover time where the tires are equal? Time we shall see if Jasper decides to pit. I hope he pits because I wanted disregard.
Okay. Interesting decisions. Obviously, they know something that we don't in terms of the forecast. The track doesn't look too wet.
He's staying out.
Yeah, I think they might try to push it for one more lap. Again, those intermediates slowing the drivers down just a little bit. It may have been a lap or two too early for the front runners to dive in and risk it. So you see drivers like Jasper and LTB all staying out. Well, I just noticed Merck in P2.
Merck in P2, yes, we saw him overtake LTB where LTB ran wide.
Yeah, I didn't notice that he's up in P2 already. That's some good driving. The reverse commentator's curse really coming in handy for him today.
That's good to see.
As we see Joshua Bashford fighting Noel Korpi and Bjorn de Boer for the sixth place position. Jeremy Clarkson just pulling away from Bjorn de Boer, as well as trying to close the gap to his teammate Cameron Searle on those hards in front. I don't know what the strategy call here is. Again, you'd have to ask your race engineer for the forecast. They have a greater idea than us. I think it just might be a little bit too early, a lap or two too early for the intermediate runners. The track still looks dry enough to run with slicks. So, as we still see guys staying out, lap after lap, trying to elongate their stint on the slick tires for as long as possible, as we start to see some guys going in. Noel Korpi gaining a position on Bjorn de Boer there, P5 in the Ferrari.
I think I was just looking at the gaps, and it seems like the intermediate tires might actually be faster now. He gained a few tenths. They're either faster or it's quite equal between the tires.
Equal. Yeah, it could be at the transition period as well, as we see Cameron Searle going on to new hards. Interesting strategy choice.
And Joshua Bashford making a dive bomb to Bjorn de Boer, making it work. Some really good driving from Joshua Bashford today. really confident with his wheel. I did not expect him to be this good. I think my expectations have been blown today. Like every single expectation I had has just been blown
out of the water, I assume you mean. But yeah, no, he's looking very confident on the throttle and with the wheel as well. At this point, if you're Bjorn de Boer, are you going into the pits and just taking the intermediates? I mean, you have nothing else to lose really at this point. What would you do if you're in Bjorn's position?
I'm sorry, I was just very confused because we saw Cameron Searle pit again, but he pitted to the Hearts, which is
as
very
I mentioned, interesting strategy
okay.
choice. I can't say it's something I would ever do. Not sure what his plan is here.
And now everyone seems to
We'll
pit.
see.
I think people are going for the intermediates. Now we'll have a look at Jeremy Clarkson's onboard view from his pit stop, and those are definitely the inter tires. I think Cameron Searle made a huge mistake here. And I also think Jasper may have made a mistake by not pitting. Maybe he'll get undercut.
Staying out one extra lap. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. He might be able to overcut a little bit. Again, not sure of the forecast if the rain is going to be staying until the end of the race or not. If it's not, it may be a good decision to push it out as far as possible on the mediums and wait out the rain. But again, if the rain is if it's here to stay, you're just going to be losing time by staying out on slicks.
And now he went to full hards and full wets. Sorry. What? I don't understand Cameron's thought process at all right now. That is
very interesting Ferrari-esque strategy options here, but we'll see what comes of that. It's again I can't say it's something I would do.
Nope, I would.
Might just be his team messing with him. Who knows? As we see, the rain is really starting to get wet. As we see some standing water too, so it could actually be a good strategy option. I'm not sure. We'll see, I guess. Maybe Cameron's seeing something none of us
and
have
he's
seen.
in the gravel.
Maybe he's not, as he's off the track now, just rejoining. Okay. We'll see what happens with those full wets. It's an interesting strategy. I'll give him that. Merck's still out on now going into the pits for intermediates. Him and Jasper both
interesting that Jeremy Clarkson overcut both LTB and Plugge, and now Jeremy Clarkson
and Merck as well.
And Merck as well. So now Jeremy Clarkson is in P2.
In P2.
Wow.
Interesting. That I can't say. I have to respect that. That's a very good strategy call from Jeremy Clarkson. Using the optimal time to pit and switch over. That's great move from him and his team. DRS is now disabled due to the rain. It looks like I'm gonna say it again, but I might give Cameron Searle the commentator's curse, but maybe he was seeing something we weren't. Who knows? We'll see. But based off his little excursion to the Portuguese countryside there, I will say there's a good chance he is not seeing what I think he's seeing.
Well,
I think my point has been proven again. If we go on board with Cameron Searle now,
he's going into the pits.
Going into the pits for some intermediates, presumably.
Yeah.
That's twice, maybe even a new wing. That's twice he's now spun. I take back my earlier statements. As we see Jasper and Jeremy Clarkson and Mercked all within, Mercked, Noel Corby, and Plug all within 5 seconds of each other. And a little bit of a large gap as we see Joshua Basford making a move on the Alfa Romeo driver and making it stick, presumably.
Very unorthodox.
Without the use of DRS, it's going to look like an unorthodox overtake. He's going to try and maintain that inside line, and he will make the move stick while also forcing Noel Corby off the track. Plug it off the track. That'll be something I imagine the stewards will have to investigate after the race. We shall see. But good wheel-to-wheel action, and lots more to come, presumably. Now with the rain as well, adding another element to this. It's a very dynamic situation, ever-changing. We shall see what happens.
And now Björn is breathing behind Plug, and he really wants that position. Björn has been in the midfield the entire race. He was almost in the battle for P2, and now he's going for Plug in a very Oh, I love the creativity the drivers have here. They really have unusual overtaking spots during the race. And now he makes the switch back onto Plug because Plug braked way too late to try and keep the position. Didn't work. And now they're side by side into this corner. I have never seen racing at these corners before in Portimao. This is a first for me. I love this. Every single moment of it.
Making it stick too. I respect that. That is great. I am impressed with the driving skills Bjorn de Boer is showing today as he just slightly goes off the track and exceeds track limits there. Merckx and Jasper going side by side. Jeremy Clarkson, rather, not Jasper. Jeremy Clarkson and Merckx going side by side. Jeremy Clarkson losing the position to Merckx and getting some oversteer. Just drifting a little bit past the corner there. Wrong track for that, Jeremy. We're not in Tokyo. Again, drifting around turn 4. Losing time on the exit and seeing Merckx pull away a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I think maybe
Just,
Merckx can even make this 3-second gap at this rate to try and like negate his penalty. Oh, let's see the penalty situation for the drivers. So Merckx having a 3-second time penalty. Noah, you could be 3 seconds as well, but Joshua Bashford has an 8-second time penalty.
8 seconds.
And
that's gonna be a bit of a difficult one to try and negate.
I'm thinking maybe he got a 3-second time penalty and a 5 seconds somewhere. Then we have
that's more than likely.
Yeah. And then we have LTB with 3-second time penalty and Thomas Hartwig who had an 11-second time penalty but served 5 seconds in the pits and now he has a 6-second time penalty.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good. Lots of penalties, but
I still think there's quite a long time for the race to end, so I think a lot more people can still gain some penalties, maybe even Jasper, but Merckx is quickly, very, very quickly shrinking that gap between him and Jasper and making the gap bigger between him and Jeremy Clarkson. Merckx he's flying in the rain, as one would say.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, 14 laps to go, so plenty can change. Merckx, lots of confidence on the throttle in the wet. I mean, as we see Pluk and LTB again fighting side by side, going into turn 5, coming out of turn 5, getting LTB getting a much better exit on the throttle nicely, not putting too much throttle down to the point where he's going to oversteer, going into turn 8 now. Coming up the hill, just going over as if we're on a roller coaster. Dropping down, gaining a lot of speed into turn 9. And just looking good, keeping it nice and clean. From the Red Bull drivers, we see Joshua Bashford and Bjorn de Boer going at it. Still, Bjorn and Joshua, again, fighting in very unorthodox places. Bjorn putting the pressure on, breathing right down Joshua Bashford's neck. Joshua, again, with an 8-second time penalty. Again, that's going to be a difficult time penalty to negate unless you serve some of that.
Yes, I agree.
You see Bjorn... Joshua going well off the track there. Yeah, as we both see. Bjorn will be taking advantage of that, guaranteed. Yes, as he goes in, nose right next to the nose of Joshua Bashford, going side by side into turn 1, 2, now into turn 3. Bjorn on the inside line should be able to get a better exit here as well. Still side by side, going into turn 4. Coming out of turn 4 onto the long straight. Joshua's going to get the slipstream from Bjorn, but Bjorn keeping it right in front. Joshua Bashford now having to hold off LTB as well, who goes down the inside. And still wheel to wheel rather, nose next to the nose of Joshua Bashford, going through around on turn 7 up to turn 8, exceeding the track limits and getting another penalty for LTB, who has joined Joshua Bashford in the above 5-second penalty group with a 6-second time penalty now.
Look at that gap between Jeremy Clarkson and Merckx. Already 4.7 seconds. And the gap between Merckx and Jasper is only 2.5 seconds. It's only a matter of time before Merckx catches up to Jasper and maybe have a battle for the lead. That would be nice to see. But one could hope and only hope.
Absolutely.
Interesting to see is LTB was fighting Pluk in the beginning of the race for P2, and at this point in the race they were fighting for P7. So at the end, the strategy had a big impact on the grid positions. Sorry, the race positions in the race. It's really affected the race. But still, no safety cars, no nothing. It's great to see the drivers are keeping the cars onto the asphalt and not into any barriers.
Of course, that's what you always want to see. You know, you come to see racing, you want to see racing, you don't want to see, remodeling of the track. So it's good to see as we see the Red Bull driver LTB throwing it down the inside of Björn de Boer in the Haas, making it stick, having a good exit, and in fact still gaining on Björn de Boer. Björn hoping that slipstream from the car in front will help him out as he's still losing time going into turn 8. Coming out of turn 8, careful on the throttle to not oversteer, even though he does oversteer. And again, losing quite a bit of time to LTB just coming out of turn 8 there. Going into turn 10 and 11 now. Still well behind and still losing time to LTB in the Red Bull. Interesting race here.
Dutch people
as
racing
again,
for P6, sorry, P5.
Yeah. Both in the wet, you'd expect them to be in P1 and P2 in these conditions, but
exactly,
you know,
they love the rain up there in Netherlands, down there in Netherlands, wherever you are in the world.
Well, in the Netherlands, period. But again, another Dutch driver in P1 in the Red Bull. So, you know, the stereotype has a bit of truth to it, evidently.
How long?
Jeremy Clarkson. Go ahead.
But the gap is now shrinking between Jasper and Merck, and it keeps shrinking, so it's only a matter of time before Merck will be under a second from...
Closing that gap to under a second from Jasper there. You're not wrong there.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm thinking here, maybe... no, I'm actually not thinking, but a theory could be that maybe Jeremy Clarkson and Merck, since they didn't really qualify, maybe you could put on a wet setup which made them thrive in the rain. But you saw in the dry they weren't quite as fast as we would had thought they would be. So maybe, but now we see them in the rain, and Jeremy Clarkson is increasing the gap from Noah, and Merck is just flying. So maybe there is a wet setup involved in this, making them go so fast in the rain. You can see already 1.4 seconds. You can see the Red Bull in front of him. A British driver and a Dutch driver fighting for P1. We all love to see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love to see a bit of what's the word I'm looking for here? A bit of diversity up there in the front. Jeremy Clarkson, you know, I would say putting pressure on Merck, but he really isn't. In fact, he's just kind of on his own. Merck closing the gap still, almost under a second. Now under a second, the gap to Jasper in front. Jasper really gonna have to start defending, perhaps just kind of saving up, relaxing a little bit, saving his tires, hopefully, or rather hoping that the rain will continue to the end and he can make these tires last all the way to the end. Who knows? Merck, as you mentioned, may have also put on a wet setup. We're not sure. Only the mechanics are sure of that. So, and the driver himself, obviously. But again, Merck just closing that gap almost half a second now.
I think he can even make a gap of 3 seconds and still win the race even with the penalties. I think he has a great chance of. It depends on how fast he can make the move and done on Jasper. But if he can get into P1 relatively fast, I think he can still win the race, even with the penalty.
For sure. And not sure of his ERS situation, but again, as he pulls out to make the move on the start-finish straight, Jasper just slow, looking really, really slow. Merck now in P1 going into turn 1. Jasper just needs to keep that car within 3 seconds of the Williams in front, and he will still finish the race in P1 due to Merck's time penalties. But Jasper just looking slow. I'm very intrigued as to why Merck's car is so much faster. Is it an ERS usage difference, or is it a setup difference? We're not sure. But it's definitely something to keep in mind that Merck could be using a wet setup. Again, not sure, only the mechanics know.
Maybe Merck is just so good in the rain, like, maybe that's just the difference. when it just comes down to pure driver skill, because we know when it starts to rain, it's less about the car setup, but more about the driver who is
Much
driving.
more about the driver, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who's stereotyped more for having rain, the British or the Dutch? It's, you know, I think the British. So maybe there's something to be said there. Maybe he's grown up driving in rain and he has the upper hand. Who knows?
That could be one of the reasons, but we also know the Dutch people live under the sea, so
that's true. Yes, it's common knowledge that Amsterdam is actually the twin city of Bikini Bottom. So as we see Jasper just losing time again. Now the gap over a second. At this rate, Merck will have first position, whatever you want to call it, locked off by the end of the race. So Jasper's just gonna have to get a little more confident on the throttle here and hit the gas. I mean, losing this much time, it's not looking good for him come the end of the race.
Not at all. I think Jasper is disappointed that he's with the lead he had in the dry and it starts raining. I think it's quite frustrating for him that the rain might have ruined his potential race win. And
for sure,
I think Merck, on the other hand, is very happy the rain came out. And Jasper with a 3-second time penalty now, which means that Merck is P1 both on track and provisionally with the penalties. So now Merck, I think that's a lot of pressure removed from Merck's shoulders. Now he can just, instead of pushing so much, he can maybe just, drive the car
save the
home.
Tires a little bit. Yeah,
Save
absolutely. Just race management, managing the car and the tire management as well. So again, the intermediates do last quite a few laps. So we shall see. But yeah, Jasper, that's it's truly unfortunate for Jasper. High hopes before the rain came, and now unfortunately it's not looking good, bruv, in the famous words of British TikTok.
It is not looking good, bruv, indeed.
At least for Jasper. For Merck, it's looking good, bruv. So yeah, I mean, looking farther down the grid, Cameron Searle still well behind everyone except Lynn and Raybach. But those two drivers unfortunately having some issues of their own earlier on in the race. Thomas Hardwick just losing time to Bjorn de Boer. Bjorn de Boer also keeping it within 2 seconds, but losing a bit of time to Joshua Bashford. If you recall, those two drivers were going toe-to-toe earlier on in the race, a few laps ago even. LTB, Joshua Bashford, Noel Corpy, and Jeremy Clarkson all with 6 or 7 second gaps to the cars in front. Field just naturally spacing out with the rain. As you mentioned, rain is much more of an indicator of the driver's skill rather than setups and all that. So
Definitely.
Again, yeah, well, for at least for Bjorn, just keeping his nose clean, keeping that car on track and not sliding off, exceeding track limits. That's the name of the game for him right now.
I think Bjorn is disappointed of where he currently is. I think he knows he was in the P5 position, almost fighting for P2 with that train we had. I think he knows he can do better, and I think he should be happy with the result he's got now, because he has shown that he has the pace. He just needs the consistency to keep that pace, which he has. So he just needs to learn this consistency, and they'll just come with time. I think Bjorn has a great chance of winning races. Maybe even this season, maybe be able to pick up a race win or something. He just needs to work on his consistency, and he'll be there in the upper midfield.
Absolutely, the consistency is key, for lack of a better term. But it's arguably the largest part of driving. The pace is only one portion. You can have all the pace in the world, but if you don't have any consistency, you end up like Cameron Searle. I apologize to him, but that's what we're seeing today. I mean, P11 out of 11 racing cars right now, and we expected him to be starting P2, and he has the pace, he has the consistency normally as well. But one mistake, or in his case, 3 mistakes can cause some problems. So, yeah, I mean, Merckx will be happy. Jasper as well. Jasper losing quite a bit of time. The gap now up to 7 seconds. We just saw a couple laps ago, it was only 1.5 seconds. It's now 7 seconds as we see Jasper and Jeremy Clarkson fighting.
That
Obviously,
is not Jeremy
has
Clarkson,
something to do with
I
it.
think that's Cameron Searle. Yeah, that is
wrong Mercedes. Yeah, you're definitely correct there. The 11-second gap would indicate that you're spot on. Interesting. Blue flags obviously are a suggestion, but it gave Jeremy. Hey, you know, I have to say, Cameron Searle being a great teammate because Jeremy Clarkson closing the gap to 3.7 seconds now.
But is it really that legal to do that? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. But Jeremy Clarkson isn't on the hook for that, and Cameron Searle, well, I mean, I don't think his race can be ruined any further. So, yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, I think it's been a good race so far. We have had plenty of action, strategy has played in, the rain, which always throws a curveball, and we've seen that. Noah as well in P4 when he was in the lower midfield with Merckx and Jeremy. I think generally both Noah, Jeremy and Merckx, who are in the bottom of the midfield, they are now in the top 4. And I think maybe that also is a factor of when the rain came out, they maybe were in a better position on the track to pit when it started to heavily rain. That might be a factor. But I also think that Jasper should have pitted a lap earlier than what he did to maybe have kept the gap even bigger than it is. But to be fair, the gap is now almost 9 seconds between Jasper and Merckx, so I'm not sure what difference it would have made. Merckx is absolutely flying out there, and
yeah, unfortunately for Jasper, Merckx really just heard what you were talking about and kind of kicked it into high gear. He completely flipped this race on its head for himself. So great deal of respect to him. But yeah, a nearly 9-second gap just 4 laps ago. Even we saw that to be, it was a 1.5-2 second gap. Now 9 seconds nearly. That's a fairly large sign that Merckx is much heavier on the gas and has a lot more pace under his bum in the car there than Jasper does, unfortunately for Jasper. Jeremy Clarkson as well, just still losing time. Jasper is not driving slowly at all. I'm not certain his strategy is you know, if it would have helped him or not if he waited an extra lap. It's a lot of, you know, ifs, buts, or maybes, but you know, here we do absolutes, so we can't tell. What we can tell is Jeremy Clarkson is gaining a little bit of time on Jasper, and Jasper is losing quite a bit of time to Merckx. So again, 3 laps to go. It's not looking good for Jasper unless Merckx makes a very big mistake. But as we've seen with the rest of this race, he hasn't really made mistakes today past the first 5 laps. So, you know.
Yeah, maybe he had that small moment at the start of the race, but he has really come back from that, going from P12 absolutely last on the grid to now being first in a comfortable lead, and the lead is growing and growing and growing. This is so incredible to see a driver that can dominate this much. You know, it reminds me a bit of the current Max Verstappen we're seeing in real F1. He just hasn't put a foot wrong at all. He's going from the bottom of the grid to the top of the grid and still win with a comfortable lead. That's Max Verstappen-esque driving.
Absolutely. Well, again, in the famous words of Björn de Boer, blood thinks he's Max Verstappen. So, you know, Merckx is really channeling his inner Max Verstappen, his inner 2017 Lewis Hamilton, and just really pushing his car to the limit even with the rain, with 2 laps left, a 10-second gap to P2. it's only stuff you see in, you know, this season's F1 with Max Verstappen.
I agree. He's just an incredible driver, and as I said at the beginning, in qualifying in the beginning of the race, Merck has just this consistency and his way of cutting through the field. He just doesn't put a foot wrong at all, and this shows that he's just an incredible talented driver. And with Cameron being P10, barely scoring any points, this will give Merck a comfortable lead in the championship standings, and I think Merck will be very, very happy with the race result he has gotten today. And as I said, also, sorry for interrupting, but you can see almost everyone except for Jeremy Clarkson has gotten a penalty, and I think Jeremy Clarkson not getting a penalty, as you said, this will be a big reward for him, because he might even get P2 now because of Jesper having a penalty.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. If we just take a look at the penalties here, Jeremy Clarkson, if he can get that under 3 seconds, Jasper will, unfortunately for him, lose that P2 position. And on top of that, Cameron Searle having a 10-second time penalty, he won't even score points today. So again, Merck is just going to pull away even more in the Drivers' Championship, because that 1 point Cameron would have gotten if he had no penalties is going to go to Lyndon Rainbach instead.
Now we have Jeremy Clarkson on the penultimate lap, trying to use all his ERS to try and make that gap smaller. Jasper trying to shrink the gap. Jasper Tenhagen, who has a bit more ERS than Jeremy Clarkson, might be able to prevail and get P2 here, but they're soon approaching the final lap, and we'll see. And interesting to see that Cameron got a 5-second time penalty once again. Now he has a 23 seconds time penalty.
At that point, I'd just retire. So
I think this is not one of his proudest moments.
Definitely not.
And I can't imagine. I thought this guy was going to get pole. I can't believe it. I made myself look like a fool.
Yeah, unfortunately for you, the trip to Las Vegas is on your own dime. As we see Cameron Searle sliding again around the corner. Jeremy Clarkson keeping the gap under 3 seconds is the most important thing right now for him, as he's coming up behind his teammate, who he will be lapping shortly. Well, if he laps him this lap, as we come across the line for the last lap of the race along with Jeremy Clarkson. Again, Jasper just needs to keep that gap greater than 3 seconds, and Jeremy wants it less than 3 seconds. This is going to be the most interesting part of the race for Jeremy Clarkson, as far as I'm concerned. Good damage control from him, I must say, starting from the 10th spot on the grid, and now finishing P3, possibly even P2, as he slides around the corner at turn 5 on the exit, just needing to get a little bit less on the throttle there, at least delay it a little bit longer. Continuing to keep that car straight is his biggest worry right now. So yeah, we'll see what he does. If he can manage a clean rest of his lap, he'll get P2. Jasper will drop to P3, and Merck will drive off into the sunset all on his lonesome.
Yeah, he will. He is driven an incredible race today, going last to P1. Merck.
Absolutely. As we see him coming around the final turn 15, Merck coming last to first across the line, the first driver to cross, and with a greater than 12 second gap, he gets on track and on the leaderboard, on the time board, P1. As we see Jasper come across the line, and Jeremy Clarkson, who will take P2, Jasper P3, Noah Yilkorpi and LTB, both in the respective Ferrari and Red Bull cars, as we see Noah come across the line in the Ferrari, followed by LTB in the Red Bull, Thomas Hardwick and Joshua Bashford in the Mercedes duo coming around turn 15. Just bring it on home across the line. Rounding out the top 10, we'll then have Bjorn de Boer and Plug. Bjorn de Boer getting P6 due to penalties. Not a bad finish from Bjorn.
P6.
I have to say, yeah, P6 is not. Obviously, it's not what he will have wanted. He will have wanted at least a top 3 finish, but
I think he should be
not a
proud
bad
of that.
finish.
I think he should be proud
I would be proud of that.
of his P6. It's a good step
Absolutely.
forward for him, and I think if he just keeps improving, he might be able to fight for these podium positions and at the end for race wins. But Merck
Absolutely.
taking
Your
P1,
race winner, Mercked.
wow,
Yeah.
I am completely befuddled or whatever you say.
Yeah, absolutely not. We know what you mean, but take a bow, Mercked. The British driver completing a last to first challenge around Portimao is definitely not the easiest task, but he did it. Calm, cool, collected, well managed race. Congratulations to Mercked as well as Jeremy Clarkson and Jasper to round out the top 3.
Yes, wow. And now we're just waiting for the drivers to come down for an interview. We'll of course talk to our driver, our race winner, Mercked, racing for Williams, and we have Mercked with us now. Mercked, what an incredible race you had. I did not expect you to win the race after that start you had, because it seemed like not everything was going your way on the start, and you had the moment where you lost quite a bit of time. But tell me from your POV, what happened at the start which didn't give you your dream start?
To keep it simple, Lenny spun me round.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, he took me out. So that wasn't great, but for some reason I had just incredible pace. I was able to just go back through the field, and yeah, it was.
Did you expect to win the race when the rain started falling down? Did you know you would have the edge over Jasper, or was it all a surprise?
Definitely a surprise, but I was just trying to drive like I was driving in the Bry. I was just pushing as hard as I could to catch up to Jasper, knowing that I could probably make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'd say he did. So yeah, it went well.
Yeah, and did you also expect it to be that easy of an overtake on him?
I'd expected him to fight it a bit more, but I mean,
You just had
yeah,
much more
I don't
pace.
know what he was thinking. Yeah, I guess, yeah, he just probably thought, what's the point? But yeah, no, I think I was surprised, but you know, he was quick, and obviously he had a very good start and managed to get away from the pack, which helped him a lot.
Well, I just wanted to say you had an incredible race. I am completely, I don't know what to say. It was such an amazing race you had, going from P12 to win with that amount of gap. That was a true Max Verstappen type drive. Dario, do you have any questions?
No, all I have to say is congratulations on a very good drive, and yeah, no, nothing else.
Yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully the same again next week.
I hope so. See you.
Catch you up.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, hello.
And now we have our P2. We have Jeremy Clarkson,
Hello.
who also started at the bottom of the grid. Tell me, what happened at the start from your POV? It didn't seem like you had the best start.
Yeah, I mean, in qualifying, I went on the softer preset, so I had 4 sets of softs, hoping that it wouldn't rain at all during the race. And I decided to only do 2 runs. And on my first one, I invalidated, but I knew I had pace. Then on my second one, at the very end, I invalidated, and it was quick enough for pole, so I was kind of angry there. It would have been pulled by half a turn, but it is what it is. We move, we ball. Then the race was crazy. I took out Luke, so that was funny.
Yeah, he told us that.
But man's just built different, so he didn't get
incredible.
Really
I think that's one of the best drives I've ever seen.
Yeah, he really did. He really did good. And then Jappa balled it at the end, so that was fucking good.
Yes, I just wanted to ask you about that. Like, did you expect to get a P2 after Mercked completely just disappeared? Yeah.
Yeah, man walked past me and then walked away. I was aiming for P2 for this race. I kind of settled in for P3 until about lap 20. I think it was like lap 28 when Jasper made a mistake and dropped like 5 seconds. He went from like 8 seconds ahead to like 4.5. So I knew that I could do it. So I just trained my battery, and yeah, nipped it in the bud. So you know,
Thank you.
it is what it is.
So, Dario, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, obviously, in qualifying, being just absolute dead last of all the drivers to set a flying lap, and then starting the race and being an absolute torpedo. Did you expect to come out in P2 at the end of the race, or is that a bit of a
because
surprise for you?
While Luke is built different, I am also built slightly different. So I expected to get a podium still.
Well, you're still not too far up on the driver's
P2
standings.
merchant.
You
So,
are
yeah.
before this race started. You were P5 in the standings, behind Leon Raybook. Do you think you have a chance of fighting for this driver title championship?
No, I'm aiming for P3. I missed too many races due to otherworldly.
What about the constructors? You are currently leading with Cameron.
Yeah, we'll win the constructors. But
okay. I like the
it's already won.
confidence.
So yeah,
That's
but P3 in the drivers is what I'm aiming for.
So who do you think? So you think that Cameron and Merck will beat you in the driver championship?
Oh, I mean, depends how much you, our lovely commentator, decides to put his boots on the track.
Me and Dario were actually talking about this, and we were saying that. What was it again? Oh yeah, Emir, the guy you were talking about. He actually went to become a trash master, which is interesting. Interesting career path for him. But thank you. Do you have any further questions, Dario?
No, absolutely not. Just congratulations, and only that's a performance that only the one and only Daniel Kvyat could have done as well.
Cameron did bang me in the ass a little bit. Noah ended up taking me out like 2 laps later, so I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, just to clarify, I'm going to beat Cameron in the drivers.
Okay, so you're aiming for P2.
I was going off this Amir guy. And
okay, perfect. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you.
Adios.
Next
amigo.
week. I hope you have a better race. I did not mean that I hope he has a better race. That was a joke for legal reasons. And now we have Jasper, our P3 driver who had a comfortable lead in P1 until the start of rating. Hello, Jasper. Did you expect... my first question to you, Jasper.
Yeah.
Did you expect to put it on pole today?
Of course not. Of course not. No, of course. I've done no laps on this track on this game yet. And I think... on like 10 hours in the last 3 months, so
okay.
No, I did not. But
2 tenths even. That was incredible. We love to see it. Dario and I, we were, and especially at the start of the race when you had that, when you created that lead, and LTB helping you out a bit by fighting with Cameron. I think it was. What happened to you when it started raining?
Well, I started to struggle a little bit more when it started raining. To be honest, I think the setup was not really perfect for the rain. I think I started overheating a bit as well, and again, I've told you already, I've done no laps on this game much, not a lot of laps at least, let alone in the rain. So I just struggled really, and then I saw Merck coming from miles back already, so there was no point fighting him really. But then there's a new thing with my PC lately that it's just once in every 2 hours it just screen freezes in every game I play. So it did it here as well. So I went from 8.5 or 9 seconds ahead to 3.5 to Lenny. So there was my lead gone, and then Cameron was P10, and we had about the same pace, but he wanted to overtake me and then back me up a bit. So I just
so he was ignoring blue flags, you say?
Well, to be honest, we were about the same pace. I mean, it was like 1 or 2 tenths quicker, but if he's not racing for anything really, so maybe he should have left it off, but he was about the same pace, maybe a little bit faster, but I don't really see the point of fighting someone who's P2, but I mean, he did, and yeah, I lost more time to Lenny, but yeah, it's okay, I'm happy with the podium really.
Yeah, it's is this your first podium of the season? I can't really remember.
Oh, I can't really tell you, mate.
Okay. Well, I think when we were looking at the race and it started raining, we felt like that you pitted maybe a bit too late. What do you think? Did you think you pitted too late, or could you have pitted a lap earlier for wets?
Well, I think it was the right lap really, because coming out of the last corner, still DRS was enabled when I went past the pit entry, so that was a bit of my benchmark, and then into like sector 1 it got disabled, so it was a bit of a crossover. I think both laps could have worked, but I think it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, you kept the gap exactly the same, like 4.4, 4.5 around there.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you're right. It would have been the same outcome. Dario, do you have any questions?
No question. It's just some more congratulations are in order. Congrats on P3 and good drive.
Yeah, good poll as well.
Yeah, thanks.
We hope to see more
Yeah,
of you
thanks.
next week. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, mate.
And
We'll try.
see you next week.
Yes, thanks. See you, mate.
And now we have Björn, who finished P6 on track. I think it was P8, but then on penalties, because he only had one penalty, which was 3-second time penalty, he got up to P6. So Björn, what do you think about the race? Do you think it was good? Bad? Tell us something.
I am very disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. I had very high hopes for this weekend with one specific person not racing, and well, quali went good. Then it didn't, and the start was fine until it started to rain, and that's where kind of everything got ruined.
Yeah.
So I'm very disappointed.
I was actually saying this to Dario, that we would think that you would be disappointed in your race, but looking at it, at some point in the race when you were P5, you were in that train who was battling for P2, and then you seem to have quite a few moments on the medium tires with some oversteer. But we think you should be happy with your race results, because you, looking at the start of the season, you have improved quite a lot, and we think that at some point, if you just keep improving, you can be fighting for those podiums that you are aiming for. So maybe that's a bit of different change of perspective. What do you think about that? Do you think you'll be able to fight for podiums later in the season?
Well, I certainly hope so. In my opinion, I should have been fine for the podium this race after the practice I did on track. There's a lot of time and effort, and I had expecting to finish high, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Yeah, that it is racing, and we can't always meet our expectations. Do you have any questions, Dario?
No, unfortunately, you've stolen all my thoughts once again. So I don't think you should be disappointed in that, though, Björn. That was a good drive from you and well managed, not getting any penalties.
I did get a penalty at the end.
Okay, well, listen, you didn't get like 11 seconds, or in Cameron's case, 23 seconds of penalties. So I consider it nothing. Congratulations, though.
It was quite an interesting strategy Cameron had with going to hards when it started raining and then in full wets. But what did you see? What was going on with Cameron?
Honestly, it's Cameron at this point. Really straight.
Okay. We will keep that in mind for next week. Bad strategies from the McLaren, where on Cameron's side. Well, thank you for your time, Björn, and we hope to see you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, what a race we had today. I think we can I hope next race is going to be even better when we go racing. When we go racing in Singapore with the new updated track layout, which is going to be interesting to see if that's going to help improve racing. They changed the straight, they changed the corners under the bridge to the straight. Yes.
Yeah, very good. Something I'm looking forward to. Singapore is one of my favorite tracks, so we'll see. It'll be some good racing, hopefully, and you can sit back with a Singapore sling in hand and relax. I'm looking forward to it. I imagine you are as well.
Yes, Singapore's also one of my favorite tracks, but thank you everyone who has been watching the race, and we hope to see you again
Absolutely.
next week. Bye bye.